And we're back. The next day I take the bus into the city. It goes twice an hour, starting in the morning, passing by the front gate of Yamaku at 20 minutes past and 10 to the hour. The ride takes considerably longer than the one Nomiya gave us in his car. I slowly read a book as the bus makes its rounds through the suburbs, pausing at almost every stop to pick up someone or let them out. Eventually we make it to the last stop at the city corner. The city is fair size, the city center, my bad. The city is fair size, but not too large and seems too quiet. Nevertheless, I enjoy the atmosphere. Despite being slightly directionally challenged, I find my way from the bus station to the gallery without too much effort, and soon I find myself staring at the big letters saying 22nd Corner. Inside, the gallery owner is intently studying a large painting hanging on a wall, a portrait of an old man. "Good afternoon." She turns around to look at me, and a smile of recognition spreads on her lips. "Oh, aren't you the young man from the other day? Shinichi's student Hizao, was it?" "That's right. Good afternoon, Miss Seonji." "Please, just sigh. I don't want to feel any older than I am." I'm so glad that even young people show interest in art nowadays. It's so refreshing. What brings you here? Surely you aren't just on a courtesy visit all the way from your school." "I actually came for Rin. I was hoping to see how she's doing." "Oh, is that right? Well, then, you need to step back outside. See, the atelier is actually at the next door on the right down the street. Up the stairwell, just climb the stairs to the top floor. There's only one door there. You can't miss it." Oh, I thought she was going to say, "Sorry, you have to leave." Yeah, see, look, yeah, I had a completely wrong vibe from that. I give Sai my thanks, exit the gallery, and locate the door she was talking about. It leads to a dark stairwell, which reminds me of the stairs leading to the roof of the school building. I was just about to say that from the picture. The stairs are steep, and even though it's only 5 floors, my breathing gets heavy before I reach the top. An unassuming wooden door waits for me there. It's unlocked, so I knock and enter. The atelier is really just one big room with the ceiling lower at one end than the other because the roof of the building is gabbled. Alright, never seen that word. There's a huge skylight in the ceiling that acts as the main source of light for the room, bringing in sunlight that reflects off the white painted walls. I suppose it's good to use natural light for art. There isn't much in the way of interior decoration, no surprise, since the room seems to have been used as storage for a while. All kinds of boxes and office furniture are scattered around the place. The room is dusty since it's not been in use for a while. I can see that someone has made some effort to clean up a little, but it's far from immaculate. Rin stands in the middle of the room with her back to me, staring at a half-painted canvas placed on an easel. Not working on it, just staring, unmoving. She wears what must be second or third-hand denim over... Third-hand? Never heard of third-hand before. Overalls over the standard school uniform shirt, much like the one I'm wearing. They look pretty worn and are covered in paint spatters. From the way they seem to be loose or tight in places, I'm guessing they weren't originally Rin's. "Hi." "Hello." Rin doesn't judge my showing up as worthy of turning around, saying maybe something more than just a mechanical reply to my greeting, smiling anything. She keeps on doing whatever it is she's doing, probably some weird creative thing inside her head. Perhaps I should have expected as much. Still, I make another attempt at conversation. "This is a pretty cool place, big too." "It is. I said I can use this as much as I like. I even have my own key." "So how's the work going?" She doesn't answer for a while. I begin to wonder if she's already forgotten the question. As a cloud drifts over the building, shadowing the light pouring in from the skylight, the change in Rin's surroundings seem to wake her up. "I don't know. It's like a huge ball. I don't really know which side is the right one. It's really huge. It's the hugest thing ever, like a mountain growing inside of me, like I swallowed a mountain whole. It's going to be hard, I think, really very hard. Try to listen for undercurrents of stress or uncertainty in her voice, but I don't pick up anything like that. Why are you here?" Her tone is not as unkind as the directness of the question would make it seem. "Well, you said it'd be fun if I came to visit, so here I am. I guess it's not for any reason, but I thought you might like company or assistance or maybe some... Hizao, can you be quiet for about 15 minutes? Maybe 10 is enough. 5 definitely is not. You can talk afterwards." Her tone is sharp, nothing like I've ever heard from her before. There's no command, no annoyance, no anger, but her voice pierces me all the same. "Alright." With the silence that falls, anxiety creeps back into my heart. I wonder if it was a mistake to come here. Murmurs of traffic filter in from outside, and I start to feel more and more uncomfortable. All my thoughts keep finding themselves returning to certain things that have been swirling relentlessly in the back of my mind for some time now. I feel like those thoughts will surface out of the tempestuous sea of my mind, whether I want it or not. Desperate to divert my focus, I fixate on Rin's back as my mind races. I don't think I've ever studied anyone's back so intently before. Her neck hidden by copper-colored hair, which is again in complete disarray. Their relaxed yet rigid posture reminding me that Rin's physical appearance often tends to be as awkward as her various chains of thought. Those gaunt, delicate shoulder blades visible through the thin white fabric of her shirt. The contours of her hips curving down to her thin thighs. Pisses me off. Rarely does she ever seem to be looking at me, whether literally or figuratively. I, on the other hand, am always watching her back, both literally and figuratively. Whenever she's painting, whenever something catches her fluttery attention, whenever I don't forcefully make her listen to me. I can't reach through to her. Rin's heart is uncharted territory, dangerous waters, the blank areas on a map. The edge of the world? If I went too close, I wonder if I would fall off. What do I think of her? Sometimes she's aloof and distant, and it annoys me. At other times, her passion for the things she thinks worthwhile shines through, and it inspires me. I can't understand her. Still, I like her and consider her my friend. Suppose part of friendship is putting up with the oddities of the people you call friends? I have to admit, there's a lot of putting up with Rin. What does she think of me? I have no idea. Last week I thought she might have liked me romantically, well, with the kiss and all. It forced me to ponder my own feelings, too. This week I am utterly confused. What would she do if I told her I liked her that way? I wonder if I really do. Damn, I can't make sense of even my own thoughts anymore. It must be contagious. Even if I said a thing like that, would it matter? Nothing affects Rin. Nothing. I'm done. I found her turned around, now staring straight at me. It unnerves me. I try to remember what we, or rather I, were talking about before she requested a timeout. Alright, I just came to, I don't know. You still can't finish your sentences. It's not that. Fine. She retreats from the conversation, slipping away from me once again. She doesn't return the painting, but instead keeps looking at me with that empty poker face of hers. I wanted to say some stuff. I've thought a lot about things. What things? Like what happened last week and so on. What happened? I get the feeling she's playing with me. Why? I have no clue. It is not a game she's playing with my head. I'm pretty sure she doesn't deliberately try to screw with people. Maybe it's just my own mind playing tricks on itself still. Rin feels like a puzzle in the form of a girl. I feel attracted to it, compelled to solve it, the overly rational part of my brain refusing to let me give up. I can't leave her alone. I would never have believed I could be this obsessive about something. Why do I hesitate so much and keep running in circles around her? I don't have to do that. I've already decided what I wanted to say. Rin. Saying her name with an intention like this makes my mouth dry, as if my subconscious is fighting against what I'm going to say next. I feel like I'm going to lock up any moment now. Rin looks up from her paint-covered toes and stops wriggling them, as there isn't anyone to observe them curiously now. The hard stare of her dark green eyes seems like a portent. I like you. The lack of any reaction is like a slap to the face. So I mean, I'd like to like you more as more than a friend. One is more. Oh. The slow, hesitant words coming from between her strawberry-colored lips are not the ones I was waiting for. Neither of the two possible answers that I've been expecting, actually. I feel myself blushing heavily, as is par for the course in this kind of situation. My heartbeat sounds like a percussion orchestra on drugs. Rin's faux innocent inquiry feels like I'm being grilled over hot coals. You know, like romantically, and, no. Rin turns around, giving me the cold shoulder as she returns to looking at her painting. She makes a move to pick up her brush, which lies forgotten on the floor, but decides against it at the last moment. I can't talk about that kind of thing. No, yeah. So don't talk about that kind of thing, please. We are friends, right? So you can do that. Silence those words leave behind is deafening. I want to say something, but my mouth refuses to move. There is no way I can retain my dignity. Rin finally picks up the brush without giving any explanation for her behavior. Maybe there's something in her voice that gave away some emotion, but I couldn't say what. Her shoulders slump melancholically as her foot works the canvas in front of her. She won't let me see her face, and I know it. Feeling the weight of my heart grow heavier, I stand up to leave, for I can't stay here any longer today. It's like I have opened Pandora's box by stepping over some line that Rin didn't want me to cross, and she had to turn me down. I walk across the squeaky floor to the door leading to the stairwell. Rin's quiet voice stops me in my tracks as I'm about to open the door. Zhao, my hand still on the brass doorknob is waiting for me to turn it to a jar. Yeah? Will you come tomorrow? Yeah. I didn't get any good vibes from that entire scene. After a night of bad sleep, I go through the day mostly on automatic. Put on my uniform, mechanically, do my schoolwork mechanically, eat my lunch mechanically, reply to teachers mechanically, and thus when the final bell rings, I still feel as if I had just woken up. My mind feels blank and overcrowded at the same time, and I can't even begin to unravel the tangle of feelings I got myself into. I spend the bus trip downtown staring out the window thinking about these things. As a result, by the time I climb the stairs to the atelier 4 years above Sai's gallery, I'm feeling completely exhausted. Expecting awkwardness, I quietly knock at the door before entering. I spawn Rin at the center of the small area in the room working on a painting. She doesn't acknowledge my arrival in any way. Hi, I came, as promised. Rin snaps her head to my direction immediately. Was she waiting for me to say something? And locks that cold green gaze of hers on me. Though I'm sure my own face can't hide my feelings, Rin's expression is as expectant and neutral as always. The clouded, slightly absent-minded darkness in her eyes is like a wall standing between me and her. It is the first awkward silence between us that is truly awkward. Yesterday, both of us said something we couldn't take back, and there's no way it can be undone. I want to say something, but Rin forbade from doing so. I can't even begin to guess what she's thinking, but I'm feeling the pressure of her lightless eyes on me, compelling me to break the silence without saying the thing I most want to say. To my horror, I find that I can't find any way to start a conversation. It's as if I've completely lost the ability to speak with her. Just keep working if you're in the middle of something. I'll just sit down here. Rin nods wordlessly at me and picks up the brush from the floor with the toes of her right foot. I sink into a worn-out sofa, picking up a book from my bag and opening it to where I stopped last night. I can't really concentrate on it, but it's better than doing nothing. The two of us are so close to each other, together in the same room even, and yet we're both off doing our own things as if we were miles apart. I can't help but wonder about this unnatural situation. Why did I come here? Because she asked me to do so yesterday, of course. However, it looks like there's absolutely no need for me to actually be here. It makes me feel awkward at first, but as I recall the previous silences I've quietly passed with Rin, I settle down and try to tune into that same comfortable mood I was in back then. Time stretches, then slows down. The pages of my book rustle each time I turn them. Maybe half an hour or 1 hour at most. Rin breaks the silence to my complete surprise. Zhao. Yeah? Are you my friend? It's an echo of yesterday, I know it, so even Rin couldn't push it aside from her mind, caught off guard. I answer honestly. I don't know. Yeah, of course I am. Don't worry about stuff like that. Come on. Okay. She doesn't say anything further. I feel happy somehow. Several chapters later, I mark my spot, close the book, and put away my bag. Getting up from the sofa, I see that Rin's made considerable progress on her painting. I take a look at it for a bit. It's still not quite finished, I suppose. Looks great. It's bad luck to comment on unfinished paintings. After that, I quietly leave the studio and catch the bus taking me back to school. Yeah, don't play this happy tune. Don't play this happy tune. None of that was happy. I think that I made an accident somewhere. Life settles into some sort of vague, undefined norm. I visit Rin whenever I can, but each time is as strange as the first. They consist mainly of me watching Rin at work or just reading a book on the couch while she works. We barely talk at all. Long, quiet evenings stretch over the last weeks of June. I sit on the couch in the atelier listening to the quiet wrestle of Rin's brush and my own heartbeat, trying to make sense of the former and forget about the latter. I'm a silent visitor in this place, a ghost. At some point I begin thinking that my presence is meaningful to Rin somehow, but never end up asking her about it. I don't bring up the forbidden topic anymore either, and try to stop thinking about it altogether. It's hard to do so and doesn't get any easier with the passage of time. My heart aches every time I look at the awkward figure of the girl I decided I liked, yet who refuses to acknowledge it. I still can't seem to find the right words to talk to her about anything at all, but I find quiet solace in observing her from nearby. The distance between us doesn't feel that huge, and I can be close to her even if it's like this. Rin works like a demon. There's barely a moment when she's without a brush between her toes or walking in circles around her current work in progress, estimating it from every angle and distance. She seems to be completely taken over by her will to work, to change herself into the sort of artist she believes would be worthy of the trust of Nomi and Sai have placed in her. Piles of sketches, works in progress, tubes of oil paint, and brushes slowly begin to crowd this small atelier, making it even messier than it was before Rin acquired the right to use it. I offer to help her clean up every now and then, but each time she refuses. It dawns on me that in her mind this room is not an utter chaos, rather her system of keeping track of everything is so elaborate only Rin herself can make sense of it. She knows exactly where everything is, from the tiniest brush to that half-empty tube of crimson that's the perfect shade for some picture in progress. Rin walks from one painting to another, looking at them as if not remembering that she made them. She talks to herself or to the paintings, even when I'm present, always just quietly enough that I can't make out her words. Every day, Rin pours herself onto the canvas for hours on end, squeezing every bit of her ability and even her soul to make good on that promise she made to me or herself. Black marks appear beneath her eyes, a sure sign that she's skipping sleep in favor of painting. I'm somewhat surprised to see her at school a few times and never goes and say hello, though, as I somehow feel it will break the silent magic of the evenings we share at the atelier. Sometimes Sai comes by when I'm there. She gives me a certain kind of look when she shows up. I think she doesn't like that I'm always hanging out with Rin up here, but she never says a word about it. She isn't quite as full of praise for Rin's work as Nomiya, but is visibly impressed nonetheless. However, when she turns her eyes from the wonderful works of art to look upon the little red-headed girl that made them, a sudden deep sadness floats onto the surface of her expression. I can't explain it, and she never talks about it. June turns into July almost without warning. End of term exams loom dangerously close, but all I can think of is Rin. I feel like a sleepwalker at school, looking forward only to the next time I get to visit that silent place above Sai's gallery. After Rin refuses my attempts at directly helping with her work, I try to figure out other ways to help her. Finally dawns on me that she isn't eating properly. My course of action decided. I stop at the convenience store before going to catch the bus downtown, my next visit to the studio. I feel very energetic as I open the door to the atelier and greet Rin. I brought you some fruit. You need vitamins and actual food after all. Do you even eat up here? I do eat. If I didn't eat, I couldn't paint. Then why don't you eat a couple of these? I shake the bag full of ripe oranges in my hand in a polite attempt to Rin into taking a break. To my surprise, she actually lays her brush down and walks over to me to see what I'd bought. Her expression doesn't change at all when she looks into the bag. I can't eat oranges, Suzo. It does not work very well with feet. That's alright, I'll do it. Of course I knew that. She'd told me herself. After all, I extract the tiny fruit knife I had with me and select one of the round fruits. After making the initial cut, I begin to peel it with my fingers. People use knives to open their oranges? What the heck? Even if it's just an initial cut, I've never seen someone do that before. The strong scent of cut orange rind immediately fills the air as thousands of tiny droplets of oil burst from the skin. I remove the first section of the hard peel and shoot a glance at Rin. So how's the work going? I don't know. It's like I'm in the center of some huge mountain of jelly and I have to dig my way out. It must be stressful. I think it might be, even if it's just painting. All this, everything feels really strange. I wonder if Rin is the kind of person who likes to carefully remove all the white, fibrous stuff from oranges before eating them, or the more careless type who just eats them as they come. Maybe neither. I'm the former type, so I meticulously clean the orange slices one by one while Rin watches the process with mild curiosity. I do that too. Realize I don't have the faintest idea about her likes or dislikes or any of the other little details that make up the concept of a person for those around them. It's like in all this time I haven't learned much about her at all. Once I finish lamenting that fact, I realize I have cleaned the entire orange and neatly split it into slices. I hold a slice up, bringing it closer to Rin so she can pick it up. Here. She takes it directly between her lips and then into her mouth hole. Her lower lip briefly brushes against my fingertip. Rin chews the slice carefully, savoring it as much as possible. I become fixated on the movements of her jaw, the trickle of juice glistening on her lip, the way her throat moves when she swallows the orange slice. After I realize what I'm doing, I turn away, feeling embarrassed about watching her so intently. It's not the same as it usually is. The orange? Painting. Oh, well, is anything like that ever the same? It is, sometimes, I think. I don't know what, though. I might be starting to paint differently soon if this goes on. But wouldn't that just be that change you keep talking about? She thinks about it, blinking her eyes a few times nervously. For a moment, absolutely nothing happens, as if time itself did a double take. We stare at each other in silence, only that faint, tangy scent of orange floating between us and the muffled sounds of traffic in the background. Then I pick up another slice and hold it to her. She takes it from me with her mouth, just like the first one. I didn't think it would be like this. Well, keep on going and see what happens. It's not like you can do anything else. Yeah, it's the only thing I can do. After that, she says nothing more. In the ensuing silence, I feed Rin the rest of the orange, one slice at a time. Then I peel another for her, which she eats as well. The third I eat myself, and the rest are left in their plastic bag, which I put on a small desk next to the couch. She stands up and returns to her painting with a strange look in her eyes that I haven't seen before. Like most of her expressions, it is completely unreadable. Even if I asked, she wouldn't explain what it meant. Or she would, and you just wouldn't understand it. Alright, well that was a bit of a better scene. Kind of. Not really, but a little bit. Some days later, I spot Rin and Sai standing together in front of the gallery as I walk down the street towards the gallery. They seem to be talking to each other while Sai has a smoke. Good afternoon. I say this even though it's not really afternoon anymore. I came a bit later than usual since I got caught up doing homework. It's going to be dark soon. Hello there, Izao. Can we visit the little kitten again? Rin makes a face at the nickname. I guess she doesn't like it. Ironically, the way she wrinkles her nose like that really does make her look a little bit like a cat. Hello. Sai turns back to Rin to continue the conversation they were having. So in other words, everything is going well enough? Rin makes a difficult expression and turns her face away from me for some reason. It's difficult. It's like I'm missing something, but I'll do it. Work hard and it'll be fine. I'm gonna have to start working on my part of the preparations. I need to do a sales catalog, invitations, decorations, advertisements, and so on. I need the names for your works, and we also need to think up the general theme for the exhibition. They don't have anything like that. I'm not very good with words, so I don't use them. If I cannot use them, I mean I don't use them if I cannot use them. I mean, sometimes I have to, but I think this is not a time like that at all. You don't like naming your works? I don't like it. Well, I guess it's hard to come up with a good name for something like this. Rin shakes her head vehemently. It's not like that. It's like if I paint a cloud and call it an octopus, people will think about it differently than if I paint a cloud and call it the end of the world. Every name is wrong. Nothing ever explains what I feel like when I make a painting. It's not a word thing. The only thing would be to come up with new words for everything, but would it help at all? No, I don't think so. Then the paintings would just go name number 1 and so on. It's a bit inconvenient, but that's no good. Unnamed means you just didn't come up with a good name, and unnamed is a name. Like that Greek guy with the sheep and all. Sai thinks about this for a while, furrowing her brow as she keeps looking at Rin's serious face. So you're saying your artwork should be completely without labels? I think that's what I'm saying. Sai lets out a dry laugh, the kind old ladies who smoke too much always seem to end up with. Let's hope your art will never end up in a museum. The curators will explode. She takes a contemplative puff on her cigarette, which has worn down not much more than the butt. Then she drops it in an ashtray affixed to the wall next to the door. Then again, it could work. What do you mean? This namelessness, this rejection of labels, it works. It's a good unifying theme, and something people can grasp onto easily. It allows for a lot of room for interpretation. It gives a good impression. Think about it, all sorts of associations can be made, starting from identity and self-definition all the way to whatever you want to think about it. Yeah, I guess that does work. We could call your exhibition Nameless and build it on that theme. How does that sound? Rin thinks about this for a while. I'm not sure how Sai managed to get so fired up by Rin's reluctance to apply names for her works. Feels like she might be extrapolating too much, but it's a pretty impressive sounding idea. I don't think it's a bad idea. For what it's worth, I have to say it sounds pretty good to me too. Sai reaches into her pockets for another cigarette, lighting it with a neon green butane lighter. Her forehead wrinkles and she rubs it as she appears to furiously think more on this idea. She doesn't say a word for a little bit, but every now and then she takes a sharp drag from the cigarette. Yes, I think this would work out pretty nicely. I'm going to take this as the starting point and work from there. I'm going in to work on this. You go back upstairs and try to find your missing ingredient. I'm sure it'll come to you sooner or later. Rin doesn't reply, so Sai takes one last long pull from her cigarette and drops it in the tray to join with the others of its kind. The gallery owner turns to head back inside, but is stopped by Rin just as she reaches for the door handle. Sai? What is it, kitten? Can I have some cigarette? What? She looks at Rin incredulously, clearly not having expected such a direct request. Not that I did either. Don't tell your teacher. She stuffs the packet in Rin's pocket along with the neon green lighter. Huh? Day is already folding into dusk when we climb up the dark stairs leading up to what is now basically Rin's atelier. As we go inside, Rin doesn't seem to be able to settle down. She keeps pacing around the room like a caged animal, looking through the skylight at the burgundy-colored dusk. The last light of the sun's advance across the sky reflects from the clouds floating over the town, filling every corner of the atelier with a blazing orange light. So, painting is going well? She blinks and relaxes her muscles. I didn't even realize how tensed up she was until now. Not really. I haven't painted in 3 days. I'm going in squares. Circles. If you say so. I'm tried doing things a bit differently, but it doesn't work, and now the old way doesn't work either. I need something more. It's not enough like this. Rin's response gives me pause, since as usual I can't exactly understand what she means, although really I shouldn't have expected anything else. She either says nothing at all or too much. Trying to comprehend and follow her train of thought feels like wading through the jungles of Borneo, equipped with a wooden spoon and a map of Hokkaido. It's annoying how her thoughts are both laid out in plain sight and hidden from view every time she opens her mouth. What more? You said that to Saya as well, a missing ingredient? I think I have to destroy myself. Okay, that sounds unnecessarily grim. What do you mean? Rin's shoulders slump and she turns to face me directly. I have to change. I've tried, but this is not enough yet. I have to destroy myself first, I think. Just to be clear, you are speaking metaphorically, right? Like learning to paint from scratch again or whatever, so to speak? She shrugs her shoulders as if there's no difference. There is no difference. So you're going to start by smoking a cigarette for inspiration? Maybe. I've never tried this before. Have you? Nope. Can't say I have. Still, I'm not really sure if having a smoke is the best starting point. She responds to my words with another nonchalant shrug. I open a cigarette pack and look inside. It's almost full. Smoking is bad for you, but that's the idea here, I guess? Yes, I need to do something. I want to paint. I need something more. So, okay, fine. What's after smoking a cigarette, then? How do you intend to destroy yourself? Rin thinks for a split second, averting her gaze like she does when she doesn't want to get distracted. I don't know yet. I'll decide later. Rin bends down to pick a cigarette. From the end, she raises her head with one between her lips and turns to me, eyebrows curved into two arcs, challenging me to respond. With a sigh of resignation, I pick up the lighter and raise it to meet the cigarette. Well, you're just gonna do it? I can feel Rin's warm breath against my quivering hand. The flame flickers to life on the third strike of the flint, and I try to aim the dancing fire at the end of the cigarette. An amber-colored glow spreads onto the wrapping paper, and tobacco as Rin inhales the first smoke. It seems to relax her significantly. To my surprise, she doesn't cough, despite telling me that she's a first-timer. Rin seems to remember that it's hard to blow the smoke out without spitting the cigarette as well. She quickly sits down on the floor, bringing her foot to her lips like a circus contortionist, and expertly picks the filter between her two toes. I get down on the floor as well, and we both lie down almost simultaneously while Rin blows a steady stream of smoke towards the dim sky beyond the glass of the skylight, looking after it thoughtfully. The thin haze of steely blue smoke slithers towards the ceiling in fish-like movements. Billows in the stagnant air of the atelier. I feel like I'm pronouncing that completely wrong, twisting and turning around its own immaterial body until it dissipates in thin air. What's the word for smoke that looks like that? There is no word for that. Why, we should maybe come up with one. Maybe. Rin takes another quick, experimental drag. It's not very tasty. Feels like inhaling the dust lying on top of a forgotten book about the memories of a dead kingdom. That was awfully specific. Do you want to try? My hesitation unintentionally surfaces again, making me freeze in the face of a rather trivial and commonplace challenge. Rin's ability to take everything so coolly is something I'm a bit jealous of. Alright, what are you doing? Taking it from her, I have a drag on it, fighting against the sudden choking feeling in my lungs as they fill with smoke. To my embarrassment, I fail, wheezing and hacking my lungs out. I feel flustered, but maybe I haven't lost too much face in Rin's eyes. It's less unpleasant on the second try, but I still pass the cigarette back to Rin. Like a pair of budding delinquents in middle school, sneaking their first smoke out of the sight of their teachers and parents. Well, I suppose it's not like, that's exactly what we are. After a while, the cigarette has shrunk most of the way down to the filter. Rin is still looking quietly out of the skylight. With her looking out there, the silence inside the atelier seems to deepen even more. Are the cogs of creativity turning behind those eyes right now? Do another one. Ugh. I mechanically pick another cigarette, light it, and place it on Rin's lips. She takes a few quick puffs and moves it awkwardly around with her lips. Thank you. Not understanding her garbled words, I glance over at Rin. Looks like she's having trouble with the cigarette. I pick the cigarette abandoning her lips and place it on mine, abandoning common sense and good reason while I do so. First one should have been enough for me, but I take another drag, still coughing a little at the unpleasant sensation of smoke invading my respiratory organs. I remember doing something like this before. So you have smoked. Doesn't look like it, though. Now, lying on my back and looking at the sky with you. Oh. The sky on the other side of the glass is slowly growing darker. It's unreachably high, even if the shimmering smoke seems to make it closer. I turn the cigarette back to Rin's mouth. It feels bad somehow. Space between us, less than an arm's reach, is still there. It's the distance between us, the immeasurably wide chasm of thoughts and feelings that separates us with graver certainty than even light years of physical distance could. By saying the right words, there might be a way to make that chasm narrower, even if it's just a little. I tried to cross that gap with one big step, but Rin turned me back. I glanced at her out of the corner of my eye. Rin is staring upwards through the smoke-filled ceiling and the skylight of the darkening sky above us. It's almost like she's sleeping, even though she isn't. Her eyes are open, as is her mouth. I take the cigarette from Rin before it falls on her cheek. She doesn't react to my touch in any way. So this is where we are now. Wonder if we can ever be closer than this. I take a drag of the cigarette and blow a thin stream of smoke upwards. These indirect kisses are the only things that connect us right now. Taste of Rin's lips on the filter mixed with the ashen taste of the smoke. Her soft lips against my fingers as I press the cigarette on her mouth, as if she was placing kisses on them. The ash softly falling on the floor between us like snow. As the second cigarette is being finished off, I'm already lighting the third one. The only thing breaking the stillness of the atelier is the inaudible sound of smoke floating towards the first stars blinking overhead. Light nausea hits me by the fourth or fifth cigarette. Before long, the shape of the waxing moon appears in the skylight, shedding her wan light down on us. There'll be full moon in a few days. It'd be nice to be able to fly. I flinch after realizing it was my own voice that gave birth to the remark, the bastard child of the almost inebriating smoke and tiredness. You can? You can? Sometimes I feel like it, like I can do anything. I wish I felt like that too sometimes. I wonder if she hears the bitterness seeping into my words. The vicious cycle of unrequited feelings is poisoning me even now. I try to push the grim thoughts aside. My efforts meet with little success as my mind keeps swirling around what-ifs and if-onlys. Watching the moon slowly creeping higher, I realize that a long time has passed since I came here. It sobers me somewhat, but also reminds me of the sad status quo we're in now. It's late. I'd better get going back to school. I stand up to leave, but Rin doesn't show any sign of rising from the floor. She lies inanimate, as though all life had been sapped from her. Little wisps of smoke float about her, memories of the cigarettes we shared. I grasp her by her short and thin arm to try to pull her up. To my surprise, she complies and stands up with some help from me. I notice how little Rin weighs, as if she were made of feathers. Well, she's lacking some weight in some places. Are you going to stay here overnight? I have to. I haven't painted much in 3 days. I have to find out how I can start painting. Maybe the smoke helps. I highly doubt that. Just take a break. That's no good. I have to do it. If I can't paint anymore, I'll be destroyed for real. Maybe you're just burned out. You've been working pretty hard. That would be bad. I wonder if this is it for me. I want to see how far I can go. Maybe this is it. The end. You just have artist's block. It's not a big deal. That's the word for when you can't paint, right? I've had that before. Never like this, though. Pick up a brush and then I want to put it down right away. And then I do. 3 days. It's like I've forgotten how to paint. I didn't think that it was possible. More impossible than Emmy growing wings and a tail. You need a break. I mean, I get that you're trying to go deeper inside yourself for your paintings, but it's really not that healthy to stay inside your own head for so long. I glance at the night sky visible through the window. A couple of stars are weakly twinkling above the city. They remind me of something I used to do once upon a time. It feels so horribly long ago. Come on, let's go outside. Where? Just for a walk. I'll show you my secret place. I don't know if it works in this town, but we can try. In any case, you need a break and probably something to eat. Come on. You need to get your thoughts away from this for a while. When they're troubled, most people escape from their unhappy lives into a world of fantasy. I did that before and still do today, reading books endlessly, immersing myself in their world rather than my own. That was probably pretty loud. Rin's escape should be the other way around, though, out of her inner world and into the real. Rin doesn't look happy about this, but I ignore her. At least she's somewhat cooperative, walking after me as we head down the stairs and then down the sidewalk. Night has fallen upon the town. It's a gentle summer night, smelling of flowers and hot asphalt. The sunlight is replaced by shining neon colors and bland yellow streetlights. The air is easy to breathe, as if the air pressure was noticeably lighter than usual. The feeling of daytime in the hot summer has lasted long into the evening and night. I grab Rin by her sleeve like I'd seen Emmy do, and to my surprise she obediently follows. The pale street lights fight against the all-enveloping darkness as we walk together, the guide and guided, although neither knows the destination. But it doesn't matter. This is the one moment where the usual silences that have become a ritual between me and Rin at last fit perfectly. We walk side by side, choosing directions on impulse or inspiration. Sometimes we find ourselves back at the street we'd already seen once or twice. Sometimes we find new streets. All of them look asleep. Rin doesn't ask where we're going. Maybe she doesn't care. Maybe she knows I don't have an answer. The silence of the night isn't scary after all. The lights drive most of it away. The air grows cooler as the moon progresses along its journey into the cloudless sky. Few cars roam the streets at this hour, and even fewer people are on the sidewalk. The apparent lack of nocturnal life is somehow befitting of this place. There are around-the-clock shops and cafes, sure, but the atmosphere is like the town itself is slumbering, a town that sleeps every 8 hours a day. The city I grew up in, bathed in the electric glow of a million light bulbs, never slept. I have seen it for myself. It's not the first time I've done this. Happened one of the first times I was home alone. Both my parents had business trips that neither could cancel, so they deemed me old enough to survive 2 days on my own. Their misplaced trust in me did not go to waste as I proceeded to spend the entire night walking around the city. Even afterwards, I couldn't say what made me stay downtown longer than I intended after school. I didn't feel like going home, so I stayed through the evening and eventually through the entire night. I walked long, concentric circles around a landmark chosen at random. For some reason, the nighttime city felt fascinating, so I walked its streets. At every intersection, it was possible to choose your direction at random because they all led nowhere. The aimless wandering made me see things differently. I hope it'll do the same for Rin. We stopped to buy some hot coffee and snacks from a vending machine and then locate a bench where we sit down to eat. There's no time in the night of the town, so we spend an unknown amount of it just sitting there observing the stillness of the usually vivid townscape. Still, it's getting very late, and soon it'll be getting very early. So is this it? Hearing Rin's voice surprises me. She doesn't sound bored, rather her tone is inquisitive, uncertain as to why I dragged her out here, yet curious to find out the answer. Yeah, have you ever been out all night? It's like a different world. The remark sends her thinking for a while, looking around as if she was looking for something. The wisps of light reflecting from the corners of her eyes are suddenly very sharp. It's not a different world, it's the same, just asleep. What do you think this town is dreaming of? Maybe something like a car sheep or building sheep. Why are dreams always about sheep? I've never seen a sheep-related dream that I can remember. Do different towns dream of different things? Probably. How could they not? I answer half jokingly, half spurring her on. For the first time tonight, it seems like a bit of Rin's life has returned to her. She doesn't continue her list of rhetorical questions, though. Instead, she leans back a little and looks up at the moon traveling above the town. The cool breeze blowing between the buildings seems to steal the conversation away before it really begins. It's too bad. It looked like Rin would get out of her blue mood. I wish I could somehow know the right things to say, but I realize I can't do that the way I am now. I'm too far apart from Rin. I haven't really managed to crack her open. She's just too complicated. It's like she's open to everything, equally disinterested in everything from the outset. In truth, she's locked tighter than anyone else I know, even myself. Sometimes she locks herself inside that inner world, shutting everything else out. At other times, her thoughts flow freely from her mind, but not organized in any fashion that would make them them intelligible to the rest of the world. What comes out in the form of paintings I can't interpret. To me, it's just a sea of colors and shapes, not a message. She's too far away. I now know it was a bad idea to try to reach for her in the way I did, but I can't help liking her. I look at the fingers in my right hand, trying to remember what Rin's lips felt like against them. Do you ever feel like you're trying to reach out for something that's impossible to reach? Rin turns her gaze towards me, tilting her head quizzically. I wonder if she understands the meaning of my own rhetorical question or not. Either way, I like how I can manage to catch her attention just by speaking aloud nowadays. All the time. At least I think so. That's what painting feels like a lot of the time. Or all the time. I don't know. Sometimes I get the feeling that I can really paint what I want. Sometimes it feels like it's just another shadow of me, like a mirror that doesn't work right. Like talking? Maybe. When I was little, I didn't really have friends. Maybe it's the same now. The only things I liked were pens and paints. They were the only things that understood me. Now it feels like that is going away too. Change really is a scary thing. I wish I could understand you. She looks at me melancholically, roused by my thoughts materializing as words spoken aloud. Me too. Whether she meant she wished for me to understand her to understand me, or her to understand herself, I never asked, nor do I find out. I see her eyes searching for mine, serious and cryptic as they are. I'm not getting any explanation from there. Don't worry about it. I will. Small hints of smile waving on her lips. When she's like this, it makes me feel that maybe there's hope for us. We get along so well for being so different. It's just that we never really get along precisely because we are so different. Maybe it was Rin's passionate approach to her own art exhibit, or perhaps my own careless words, but last week was different from usual. The small friction between us seems to be somewhat volatile, but at least we now seem to be back to normal, relatively speaking. We stand up from the bench and pick up yet another direction in which to go. The wee hours of night slowly pass by as we measure the streets of the town, one step at a time. We're finally at ease, not minding the rare lone passerby, the eerie darkness, each other, ourselves. Rin's step seems lighter, like the heavy air around her is letting go a little. It makes me feel happy. We don't talk, save for the single remarks that are spoken into the night of the town, never answered. The details jump into the eye instead of being the usual blur they are during the day. As the sky above the town changes from deep dark blue to gray, I know that our night is soon ending. It's almost morning. Rin looks up too and nods at me. It's true that the coming light of morning is creeping through the sky, climbing higher by the minute. It feels surreal. The sun won't come up for a while, but I get the feeling that the end of this night really is here and now. Should we head back? Rin nods again, twice, her hair waving in the breeze that seems to be heralding the coming dawn. Abruptly, she takes off, taking the lead in this walkabout on which I brought her. It seems she really is in a better mood. This too makes me feel happy. Rin's navigational skills are probably not much better than mine, but we eventually find ourselves in front of Sai's place. I don't know if this was any help. I did this once before, but it was more because of stupid impulse or maybe restlessness back then. Maybe this was a silly idea and didn't really help you at all. She just nods as an answer. So do you know how you're going to destroy yourself now? I have some ideas. I don't want to see you for a while. Don't come and see me. Do something else. Her ultimatum catches me completely off guard. What the hell? What's that about? You said that you didn't mind. I mind now. It's just for a while. I have to do this alone. I don't like that. Why? I don't want it to go like this. Why? I just don't want to feel this distance between you and me. She tilts her head like a bird, her eyes narrowing a little as she thinks. And you can touch me. What? You can touch me if you want. You'd feel better, right? I don't know. Try. Where do you want me to touch you? No boobs or left ear. Other than that, you can decide. Fine. Well, why the left ear in specific? I raise my hand hesitantly, even though I don't know why I'm actually doing this. Her eyes tell me that she's not going to explain. 1,000 thoughts race through my head as I slowly bring my hand closer to Rin's face and press 3 fingers against her pale cheek. Rin feels soft and cold. She closes her eyes on contact and visibly relaxes. I can feel her soft breathing, her muscles releasing tension as my fingertips caress her cheek. She doesn't rest her head against my palm or anything else you'd expect a girl to do in this kind of situation. In fact, she hasn't reacted at all, save for those now shut eyes. Once I withdraw my hand, she opens them again. Might be just an illusion created by the timid morning sunlight playing with my eyes, but Rin looks like she's holding back a smile. This is the problem with our relationship. Half the time I have no idea what is going on, the other half I just fail to understand why things are going on like they are. As usual, I'm not going to get an explanation. Rin merely takes a step towards the door. See you later. Then she disappears from my reach for an undefined period of time. Ah, well. Alright, well, I guess that's going to be all for this time. Yeah, I'm not sure about this part. This part wasn't the best, I have to say. Anyway, thank you for watching, and goodbye.